The rain fell heavily over the city that evening, blurring the bright lights outside St. Mary's Hospital. Inside the emergency wing, nurses rushed past each other as sirens echoed in the distance. Suddenly, the glass doors burst open, and paramedics wheeled in a man on a stretcher. "Clear the hallway, VIP patient," one of them shouted. The injured man was Daniel Carter, one of the youngest billionaire CEOs in the country. Founder of a billion-dollar tech empire, admired by the media, feared by competitors, and known for his cold, calculating decisions. But at that moment, none of that power mattered. Blood ran down his forehead as doctors hurried him toward the emergency room. A woman in a white coat stepped forward. "I'll take the case," she said calmly. Daniel's blurry vision slowly focused on her face, and suddenly his heart stopped harder than the pain in his chest. "Emily," he whispered. The doctor froze. 10 years had passed since the last time Emily Watson had seen Daniel Carter. 10 years since the man she loved shattered her heart and walked away from their future. She never imagined the next time they met would be like this, with him lying injured on a hospital stretcher while she stood above him as his doctor. For a moment, the world felt like it stopped. But Emily forced herself to stay professional. "Prepare the operating room," she said quietly. "He needs surgery immediately." Daniel stared at her as nurses rushed around them. The same gentle eyes, the same calm voice. The woman he once promised to marry was standing right in front of him. And she looked nothing like the life he had imagined she would have. 10 years earlier, Daniel and Emily had been inseparable. Back then, Daniel wasn't a billionaire yet, just an ambitious young entrepreneur with a big dream and a small startup company. Emily was a medical student working late nights at the university hospital. They met in a tiny coffee shop near campus. Daniel had spilled his drink on Emily's textbooks, and after apologizing awkwardly, he insisted on buying her another coffee. That accident turned into hours of conversation. Days became months, and months became love. Emily believed in Daniel when no one else did. When investors rejected his ideas, she encouraged him. When his company nearly collapsed, she reminded him why he started. "You're going to build something amazing," she told him once. Daniel held her hand and smiled. "When I do," he promised, "you'll be right there with me." But success changes people. 2 years later, Daniel's company exploded into a global success. Investors poured millions into the business. Suddenly, he was attending luxury events, traveling across countries, and meeting powerful people. Among them was Victoria Hale, the daughter of a billionaire investor. Victoria was elegant, confident, and deeply connected in the business world. Her father offered Daniel a massive investment, but there was an unspoken expectation. Daniel began spending more time with Victoria. Emily noticed the distance growing between them. "You've changed," she said one evening. "I'm just busy," Daniel replied coldly. The truth was far more painful. Daniel believed Emily no longer fit into the powerful world he was entering. He convinced himself she would only slow him down. One night, he made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. "I think we should end this," he told her. Emily stared at him, unable to believe what she was hearing. "Daniel, why?" He avoided her eyes. "We're going in different directions." Those words shattered her. What Daniel never knew was that Emily had discovered something life-changing only days earlier. She was pregnant. But after Daniel walked away, she never told him. Instead, Emily disappeared from his life completely. Back in the present, Daniel woke up several hours after surgery in a quiet hospital room. His body ached, but his mind was filled with one question. "Emily." A soft knock came at the door before it opened. Emily walked in holding a medical chart. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. I can't believe it's really you. Emily remained calm. You had a serious accident. A car hit you on the highway. You're lucky to be alive. Daniel studied her face. You became a doctor. Yes. I always knew you would. The room felt heavy with memories. Daniel wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but something stopped him. Then suddenly, two small voices echoed from the hallway. Mom! The door swung open, and two little boys ran inside. They were about 9 years old. And the moment Daniel saw them, his entire body froze. Both boys had dark hair, sharp jawlines, and the exact same blue eye Daniel had seen in the mirror his entire life. They looked exactly like him. The boys stopped when they noticed the stranger in the hospital bed. Mom, who is that? One of them asked. Emily's face turned pale. Daniel slowly sat up, staring at them in disbelief. His voice trembled. Emily, who are they? The room went silent. Emily looked at the boys and gently placed her hands on their shoulders. This is Noah and Ethan, she said softly. Daniel felt his heart pounding harder than ever before. He already knew the answer before asking the question. Are they mine? Emily closed her eyes for a moment. Then she nodded. Yes. The truth crashed into Daniel like a storm. 10 years. 10 years of success, fame, and power, while the two most important parts of his life existed without him even knowing. Daniel felt his chest tighten. You never told me. Tears filled Emily's eyes, but her voice stayed steady. You left me, Daniel. You made it very clear you didn't want a future with me. Daniel looked at the twins again. They were watching him curiously. Boys, Emily said gently, this is an old friend. Daniel swallowed hard. An old friend. Not their father. Not yet. The next few days changed everything for Daniel Carter. While recovering in the hospital, he kept seeing the twins playing in the hallway. Every time he looked at them, guilt crushed him. He had built an empire worth billions, but he had missed 9 years of his children's lives. Finally, one evening, he asked Emily the question that terrified him. Do they know about me? Emily shook her head. No. Why? Because I didn't want them growing up feeling abandoned. Daniel looked down, ashamed. I would have stayed if I knew. Emily looked at him carefully. No, Daniel, you wouldn't have. Back then you chose success over love. Her words hurt because they were true. For the first time in his life, Daniel Carter, the powerful billionaire CEO, felt completely powerless. But something inside him had changed. I can't change the past, he said quietly. But I want to be part of their future. Emily studied him silently. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she looked toward the hallway where Noah and Ethan were laughing. They deserve a father, she said softly. Daniel's eyes filled with emotion. Then let me try. Weeks later, Daniel returned to the hospital, not as a patient but as a visitor. He brought 2 small gifts. Toy airplanes. The twins opened them excitedly. Thanks, Mr. Daniel, Noah said. Daniel smiled awkwardly. Maybe you can call me Daniel for now. Over time, he began visiting more often, helping with homework, attending their soccer games, listening to their stories. Slowly, the boys began trusting him. One evening, Ethan asked a question that made Daniel's heart stop. Mom, is Daniel our dad? Emily looked at Daniel. This time, she didn't hide the truth. Yes. The twins looked shocked. Then Noah smiled. Cool. Daniel laughed through tears as both boys ran over and hugged him. At that moment, he realized something no amount of money could buy. A second chance. Years later, Daniel Carter was still a billionaire CEO. But now, every evening, he rushed home not to meetings or investors, but to his family. Emily, Noah, Ethan. Because the greatest success in his life wasn't the empire he built. It was the family he almost lost and was lucky enough to find again.